Hello and welcome back to Down the Track, and it's end of day one of both Boxing Day Test matches. The Ashes, England versus Australia. Australia dominating once again. It's been the same story all series so far, and it has continued on Boxing Day at the MCG. England all out for 185, and now Australia 61 for one, and batting well and dominating the game. Whereas India, South Africa, for India, it's been an outstanding start to the tour. I think it's one of the best starts to a tour I can remember from India's point of view. Even in that series when they won against Australia, they lost that first test match. When they won in 2018, they won the first test match, but the start was a very shaky start. First session, they lost a few wickets. But here, KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal got India off to a flyer 100-run partnership. Brilliant batting. Agarwal was the more aggressive batsman, picking the boundaries, finding the gaps, whereas Rahul was leaving the ball well, defending well as well. Took the shine off that new ball. But in South Africa, the pitch is always lively. It's not similar to Australia, where Australia, you take the shine off and you're good. Over here in South Africa, you do get tested. And that's exactly what happened with India, because after that Agarwal and Rahul partnership, Ngidi came in and got the ball to nip a bit, and he picked up Mike Agarwal and Pujara in successive balls. And Pujara, again, first ball ducked. He's going to be under pressure right now for runs. And I think it's something that he will have to work on for the next innings itself, because otherwise there will be calls for him as well to be dropped. Unfortunate. I think Pujara is a great batsman. He had a great series in Australia. It's just in these kind of conditions, you expect a bit more from him. You want him to score runs, but at the same time also, build a partnership. And he's that solid rock. If he's getting out, bad pad and edging the ball, not leaving properly, then there is an issue over there. And hopefully he can come back strong. But it was a very good spell from Ngidi. It was a really good over. But Rahul continued to bat. He continued to score runs. Defense was solid. Some brilliant cover drives, square cuts as well, flicks all around the ground. And what a year he's been having. He scored a century in England as well. Followed up with a century here. In the T20 format, he had a really good IPL. Not so in the World Cup, but when there were a few games where he scored runs over there. And in all three formats, I think he's had an outstanding year. He's probably India's best batsman right now, and one of the top in the world in all three formats. I think he's right up there now. Of course, he's not in that bracket of Root, Smith, Kohli, and Babar Azam. We haven't talked about him in that bracket, but I think he's getting there. He's pushing that door, and I think he'll knock it down in a few months' time. He's at the peak of his career. He's 28, I think, and he's batting wonderfully well. And one thing about KL Rahul is that he gets hundreds in overseas conditions. He likes playing in these tough, challenging places, and it shows that he has skill. It's not just luck or anything like that. Whether it's Australia, whether it's England, whether it's now South Africa, wherever he scored a century there. And he's become more mature now as well, and I think he's got that consistency which was lacking before. We always saw flashes of brilliance from KL Rahul, but now I think he's got that consistency, and I think it's because of his defense has improved and also leaving the ball, which ball to play at and which ball to not. So many times we saw him fish outside the off stump, which Kohli did today. We saw Rahul used to do that, but I think he's really improved on that. So yeah, credit to him. He batted wonderfully well. He put on a partnership with his captain as well, Virat Kohli. And Virat Kohli, I thought he was set to get 100. He was batting well, got off the mark easily, was scoring the boundaries, played Maharaj well off the back foot and the front foot. He was comfortable against Ngidi as well. He was comfortable against Rabada. Not too many issues. I think I didn't see him struggle at all in this innings. But then, one delivery outside off stump. It was the lead up to that was important because there were 7-8 dot balls that he faced. And straight after, he saw a ball outside off stump. He did not need to play that. He went fishing and found the edge, and that ball normally he wouldn't play, but it shows what dot ball pressure does. It causes lapse in concentration. Yes, Kohli is not in the best of forms, but I think when you're set as a batsman, you're 20-30, normally you don't make that mistake. So it just goes to show that Kohli is also under pressure with all what's happening in India, in the team with the captaincy, and then he's not scored 100 for a couple of years now. So I think there's a lot going through his mind, and I think he needs to get to that 100 as soon as possible, because otherwise it might cause some problems for him. But apart from that, I think he looked really good. I didn't see any issue with his batting. Rotation of strike was very good. Leaving the ball was good apart from that ball. Defense was good. It was a good innings. He got out, and then in came the most talked about man so far, Ajinkya Rahane. A lot of conversation, arguments about why he selected. They should have gone with Iyer because he scored 100 in against New Zealand in the last series, or they should have gone with Vihari, who was sent to South Africa a couple of months before on that India A tour, and to prepare for this series, and he's not gotten a chance. They stuck with Rahane, but it's paid off. Rahane, I think, batted beautifully. He loves Boxing Day. He scored, I think, 150 or 148 against Australia in Melbourne in the last Boxing Day, and he has another century, another couple of centuries on Boxing Day. So he loves batting on this day, and in these conditions, we see why Rahane is good. He's such a good player. Not only does he have the defense, but counter attack. He knows how to counter attack. He can find the boundaries. He changes. When he comes in and when he's in form and he times the ball well, it automatically puts a doubt in the fielder's mind, in the bowler's mind. They don't know exactly where to set the field, which line and length to bowl, because he's attacking and scoring those runs. And if they don't change the field, if they don't put that boundary rider there, he's going to continue to score those boundaries. Eventually, that boundary rider goes there, and then he can work the singles. That's exactly what he did. He milked the runs today. He's 40 not out, and I'm really happy for him. Under pressure, he's stripped off the vice captaincy. KL Rahul is vice captain now. It's Rohit Sharma, but KL Rahul is stepping in. Stripped out vice captaincy under pressure, but they backed him. He might have not been backed 3 years ago on the same tour of South Africa, but he's back now. He's backed properly, and this is I think the selectors, it's a good message for them, it's a good message for Kohli, it's a good message for all of them, showing that if you back your players, they will perform. And the class of Rahane was shown today. That partnership was very important, because if he got out, then it gets spun in, and then the tail gets exposed after that. So I think Rahane's innings already is a difference between a 350, 400 score compared to a 280, 290. And that's why I give him a lot of credit. Of course, KL Rahul was the main guy today, but I think Rahane, with all that pressure that was on him, he batted beautifully well, timing the ball well as well. He didn't look out of form at all. Him and Virat Kohli both didn't look out of form. Now it's about converting. Virat Kohli, unfortunately, couldn't do it. He made a mistake. Now it's about Rahane converting, getting close to that 100, and even trying to get that 100 and support KL Rahul as much as possible. From South Africa's point of view, they'll be disappointed with the way they bowled. They look lackluster. They haven't played a test match since June or July, I think. They look kind of rusty. They didn't find their lines and lengths, and I think it took a couple of hours then when Angidi started bothering the batsman, pitching it in the right areas outside the off stump. There was some happiness for them in picking up wickets, but apart from that, there was nothing. Rabada looked off color. He wasn't getting that zip that he normally does in South Africa, and also fair enough, he didn't get that support from the likes of Jansen. He's a bit more inexperienced, a very tall bowler, but very inexperienced. It will take some time for these guys to, I think, find their feet and their lines and lengths. So that's, I think, from South Africa's point of view, it's just about taking your time and adjusting quickly. And they don't have much time, so they'll have to adjust as soon as possible. But it's something that they will have to quickly work upon for sure. For me, the player of the day, no doubt, is KL Rahul. Outstanding innings. Right now is India's batsman, like I said, and he will look to get to that 150, 200 mark, stretch this score as much as possible. I think anything above 350, 400 is an excellent score. Yes, this pitch looks good to bat on, but there is some rain around as well, I think, in the next couple of days. The sun came out in the second session, but I think there will be some overcast days, and the cracks will develop as well, and I think it will get more difficult to bat on. The bounce will be uneven, I think, as the game progresses. So India definitely have that advantage already. In South Africa, we've seen 300, 350 being a very good score. So they're already on course for that, India. And if they can, try to stretch the lead as much as possible, get to that 400 mark, then they're in the driver's seat in this test match. They'll also have to make decisions depending on what the weather is, in terms of how they're going to bowl South Africa out and what their plan will be ahead in the test match. They'll have to think ahead just because rain might be predicted. But all in all, I think India in full control of this test match. South Africa under the pump. They'll have to come back strong for them. They'll have to pick up wickets early, try to get India 280 for 6, 280 for 7, pick up a bunch of wickets fast, and put India under some sort of pressure, and try to restrict them to around 300, 310, because more than that, it will be a bit of an issue for them. And hopefully, as the series goes on, the likes of Rabada and Gidi and Jansen, I think they'll improve as well. They haven't played test match for a while. They haven't played 5-6 months. This test format. Also, I feel that not playing Juan Olivier, that was a bit of a mistake. I think he showed against Pakistan. He's excellent in these kind of conditions, especially on these pitches. In the Centurion in Johannesburg, he can bowl really well. He gets that extra bounce as well. I know Jansen has that height, but I think someone like Juan Olivier, who has had success in these conditions, should have been given a go. But probably the next test match he might get a chance. But yeah, apart from that, all to play for. If you look at the Ashes right now, it's one-sided. It's getting to a stage where it's become so predictable. Australia are just controlling this series. Pat Cummins is back, and Pat Cummins is smashing it. Picked up 3 wickets. He set the tone straight away. Initially when he picked up the first wicket, and after that, no looking back for Australia. Boland picked up his first wicket, big for him. Nathan Lyon picked up 3 wickets. Stark chipped in as well. Australia looking in control right now, 61 for 1. They'll look to take a lead, stretch the lead past 250, 300, and then bowl England all out. Hope to see a miracle. Hope to see England fight back. Hope to see them get Australia all out quickly, take the chances. But, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's just, for a neutral, you want to see a more competitive game. And England have struggled in these conditions, no doubt. And, whether they're batting first or bowling first, it doesn't matter. They are struggling. Their batting is not being able to cross 250, 300. Today, they didn't even cross 200. So, there's a lot to ponder on. Root, again, the same problem he's having as the last tour. He's getting off to starts, getting 50, 60s, but can't convert that into 100. It's not completely his fault. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming him for it. But, once you get that start, you expect someone like him to score 100. But also, he's not getting the support. The likes of Ben Stokes not stepping up. Butler, from the top 3, Malan, Hasib Hamid, today it was Crawley. None of them, providing a platform. Root coming in too early. He's coming 50. He's coming 10 for 2, 12 for 2, and he's scoring a 50. Imagine he comes in at 150 for 2 or 200 for 2. It changes the whole dynamic. So he's not getting that support as well. So it's not his fault per se, but their batting has not gelled, and their batting has been the biggest problem. You can say whatever you want about the bowling. They don't have the pace Australia has and stuff like that. But if you don't have runs on the board, it does become difficult. Then again, you want them to fight, right? You want them to fight. You want them to, try to bowl them out as early as possible and cut that Australian lead and stay in the game. It looks very difficult right now. I think it's one-sided. Australia will probably win this game and make it 3-0. As neutrals, we can only hope for a comeback. So let's see how it goes. And I think Pat Cummins right now, the way he's bowling, probably the best bowler in the world. In that last series against India as well, he was outstanding. And he didn't get that break. Unfortunately, he got a break through COVID, but you can just see with fresh legs, he looks even better, right? He got that second test rest, and now he's come back, straight away on the money. So I think someone like him needs to get that rest as well in between when needed. That's why it's good to have Steve Smith as vice captain. He can cover when Cummins not there. But I think Australia's fast bowlers, it hasn't been planned so far, but they've got forced rests, and it's actually helped them. And I think it will help them throughout this series. So, I think Australia favorites. I'm predicting them to win this test match. For India, they're favorites right now, but anything can happen with the weather around and, the way South Africa bat in the second innings, in their first innings, it'll give us a bit more of a idea of how this test match will pan out. But I think apart from that, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the latest content from the cricketing world. Thank you so much for joining me.